Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of At the Buzzer Sports, where we talk all things basketball all the time. Now, it is late night, and I decided to pull out the camera because I know this is going to be a big talking point tomorrow for the basketball world. The Boston Celtics, not the Boston Celtics. The Milwaukee Bucks are now 1-4, and they have dropped their past 4 games in a row. After beating the Philadelphia 76ers with no Joel Embiid and no Paul George, the Milwaukee Bucks have lost 4 games straight. And I'm not going to lie, I'm hoping the Milwaukee Bucks are trash this year. I hope they are, because I live an hour and a half away from the Milwaukee Bucks arena. That means cheap tickets, so I'm gonna go. But on a serious note, the Milwaukee Bucks have just lost 4 games in a row to the Chicago Bulls, to the Brooklyn Nets, to the Boston Celtics, to the Memphis Grizzlies. And when we look at these past 4 games, there are 2 polar bears, and that is the Chicago Bulls, and that is the Brooklyn Nets. Even the Memphis Grizzlies, you can call them a polar bear, because I'm going to pull out their injury list in a few minutes, and it's kind of shaky. I've been able to watch the Milwaukee Bucks a couple of times this season. I watched the Bucks Celtics game. I watched this Grizzlies game. I also watched the Philadelphia 76ers game. And there are a few glaring problems with this Milwaukee Bucks team. Outside of having their 2 heavyweight superstars in Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, this roster construction has not been the best, and that is a critique that the Milwaukee Bucks have had since about halfway through last season. As we all know, after Adrian Griffin was fired from the Milwaukee Bucks, they later brought in Doc Rivers to be their head coach. And Doc Rivers' current record with the Milwaukee Bucks is under 500. I do not have the exact numbers, but I know for a fact they are under 500. And when I look at this Milwaukee Bucks team, the defense is a concern. I think the way they play with Giannis and Dame is a concern. I think their transition defense is a concern. I think their depth is a concern. And to the point where this is a playoff team that has a lot of heavy flaws that can be put on the front line in a playoff series. That's why I do not see them going as far in a playoff series. I actually had the Indiana Pacers finishing above the Milwaukee Bucks in my preseason rankings, and I had them losing in the first round. But if we look at some of the stats, the Milwaukee Bucks are one of the worst transition defenses in the league. I think at the last time I checked, they were number 2 at 7.2 points per possession in transition, given up right behind the Los Angeles Lakers, who were 7.7. But when we talk about this, the Los Angeles Lakers are first in transition defense, points per possession transition defense given up, because they're crashing the glass. That is a game plan that they have implemented since the very first game. And one of my first critiques with this Milwaukee Bucks team is they have no identity, defensively and offensively. I just don't think that they come out on the floor every single night with a plan offensively and defensively that they're willing to die on. You know, the New York Knicks are going to run through Jalen Brunson. The Indiana Pacers are going to play a fast-paced style of offense. The Boston Celtics are going to live and die by the 5-out offense. And once they drive past you, they're going to put you in rotation. They're going to make the wide-open threes, and they're not going to settle for anything less unless it's a wide-open dunk or a wide-open layup. They're not going to settle on mid-ranges. They're going to take the open 3, or they're going to take the open dunk. So when we look at this team and we see no identity, it shows that in the stats. This team is a 24th percentile pick and roll team. This is a 38th percentile transition offense. This is a 27th percentile post-up offense. This is a team that does not have an identity, and they are not using Giannis and Dame correctly for them to come out and win ball games. And when I look at this team, I watch Giannis in the post, and this was something I saw a lot against Boston. When Giannis is in the post, I see little to no movement around the team. So when you see Dame on the floor, Gary Trent, Taurean Prince, and Brook Lopez, this team can move enough to the point where they can get Dame open on a left wing. They can get Brook Lopez open in the corner. They can get Taurean Prince open on the above the break 3. But it does not happen. I would love to see Giannis be able to play make out of the post, but we do not have any movement around him to where the defense is going to have to commit to either Giannis in the post, or they're going to have to commit to playing off ball. And I would really run this offense off of a read and react style of offense. Now, what I mean by read and react style of offense is we have such a double-sided sword with Giannis and Dame. Dame being the amazing long ball shooter he is, and Giannis being so dominant in the restricted area. So what I mean read and react is, if you're going to commit to Giannis at the restricted area, we're going to use Dame on the perimeter. If you're going to commit to Dame on the perimeter, we're going to use Giannis down low. I just don't think that's being used correctly, because once again, as I alluded to, the Milwaukee Bucks are a 24th percentile pick and roll offense. So they do not use that, okay, we're getting space from Giannis setting screens from Damian Lillard. And on top of that, Giannis isn't even the best screener. So this may not just be the best idea in general, but if you're going to have Giannis set a screen for Damian Lillard, there is footage that Dame is not taking every opportunity he can getting downhill. And I know it's for me, it's a little hard to explain because when I watch Damian Lillard in the pick and roll, that burst is just not there anymore, to the point where he's allowing his defender to make up ground due to how slow he is in the pick and roll. The burst is just not there anymore. Add that on top of Giannis just not being the floor spacer that he is, on top of Giannis just not being the screen setter that you would like him to be, on top of the offense not being complex enough for guys to be moving off screens, whether it's Taurean Prince, whether it's Brook Lopez, whether it's Bobby Portis, whether it's Gary Trent Jr., whether it's Pat Connaughton. These guys are not moving around the floor. And this non-identity of offense is what's alluding to them being 24th in offensive rating at 108.2. They are 28th in three-point percentage, 31% from the field. And this team last night against the Memphis Grizzlies shot 42 threes. They made 28% of them. 28%. And this is a team that already struggles in transition defense. The Bulls are top 5 in pace this season so far. Memphis is a great transition team with Ja Morant. These are teams that are going to get out in transition. And when you shoot more threes, you get more long rebounds. Alluding to guys like Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Ja Morant, getting rebounds and going. And the Milwaukee Bucks do not have the defense or the defensive personnel to match up with their man in transition. They get beat multiple times in transition because they cannot defend. And I don't know if I'm sounding repetitive because this is something we brought up this offseason. We just did not know it was going to be as bad. Now, once again, this is only a 5-game sample. This is only a 5-game sample size. I get that. But this is something that we had critiques of going into the offseason. Going into the offseason, coming into the season. These are critiques that we had around the Bucks. So I don't understand why people are saying, oh, it's only been 5 games. It's only been 5 games. These are questions we already had coming into the season. So if these questions that we already had, and we already had an 82 game sample size of them just looking slow offensively, just looking slow defensively, just not having the personnel to keep up with Brook Lopez, who's fallen off as a defender, Damian Lillard, who's one of the worst defenders in the league, them just not having the personnel to play a solid defense around Damian Lillard. And now those questions just get a lot bigger and they just get exposed a lot more because these are a lot of games that they could have won. I look at the Bulls game, I look at the Nets game. Coming into those games, I'm like, okay, this should be a win for the Milwaukee Bucks. But no, even the Memphis Grizzlies with their injury list. Let's just read some of the injuries that the Memphis Grizzlies are going through coming into this game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Marcus Smart out with a right ankle sprain. Luke Kennard, left foot muscle strain. John Conchar, right quad contusion. Desmond Bane, right oblique strain. Vince Williams, left tibital. Gigi Jackson, right fifth whatever. And C. Spencer, right ankle sprain. This team was injured. This starting lineup looks nothing like what it's supposed to. Jaren Jackson's back. I give them that. Ja Morant had an excellent game. I think he had, 30-something points, 10 rebounds, 14 assists, around that type of game. And the Milwaukee Bucks just could not stop the paint. They could not stop the rim pressure. The rim pressure for the Memphis Grizzlies, they cannot stop that. And that was the tale of the game, man. This game started getting ugly by the end of the first, midway through the second quarter, and it just did not go back. And, we're starting to get those yearly conversations where Giannis might get traded. Giannis might get traded. At this point, until it happens, I'm not going to speak on it, to be completely honest. Until it happens, I'm not going to speak on it. But I think the Bucks have some real issues that need to get fixed, at least for the regular season. But in the playoffs, if they do win a series, it's just going to get exposed. Like, I don't think this team has the defensive presence. And as of right now, they just don't have the offensive game plan to beat a New York Knicks team, to beat a Philadelphia 76ers team, to beat a Cleveland Cavaliers team, to beat a Boston Celtics team, maybe even to beat an Indiana Pacers team. I'm going to stand on that because I think the Indiana Pacers would beat the Milwaukee Bucks in a 7-game series. Once again, I'm already on record saying this, so I don't feel the need to explain it again. So I want everybody in the comment section to let me know what you guys think about the Milwaukee Bucks. Is this 5-game sample size too early to write them off, or is this something that we already saw coming and now it just looks worse? So my critiques are justified. And if you guys like this type of content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out. Peace.